Well, October 2nd, there's some feathers. And there is number 2, which really sucks, but I can't find Buck either, or Fluffy Girl. But now I'm down to only 2 chickens, really sad. I just went to town, I was only gone for 2 hours, and she's already stiff, which means she probably was killed right when I left. I can't tell what got her. It doesn't look like her neck's broken, but there's no like missing parts at all. It's weird when you step on her. She makes the same noise she used to make. It's weird. It's like air in her lungs. But yeah, that's really sad. Now I have to go bury her. And I gotta go find Buck in number 2. In Fluffy Girl. Fluffy's so athletic and can fly, so she has a much better chance of getting away from things. And Buck is a beast. So he fights things. But, oh, that sucks. Number 2's gone. Here's Buck. I just found him. The fox had him. And he's missing his tail. And he's all fucked up. Poor little guy. He came straight to me though. He knew that he was saved once I got him. Where's Fluffy, Buck? Where's Fluffy? Number 2's dead over there. Is Fluffy still alive? I gotta go find her, see. Alright, so it's been about a week since they were attacked by the fox. And I wanted to wait to make a video to see if Buck was gonna survive, because Buck got beat up pretty bad. It was crazy. After doing like a survey of everything in the area and where he was and how the fox had him, I figured that he was probably fighting the fox for about 30 to 40 minutes, because the first chicken that was killed was already stiff when I got home, and I was only gone for 2 hours. And I think he was fighting it the whole time. Fluffy, as soon as the fight started, she flew off and went into the woods over here, but I didn't know that. So when I found Buck, he had, the fox was on top of him, and he was ripping all the feathers out of his neck so he could kill him, because he probably tried choking Buck a bunch of times, but his neck is so strong that he couldn't kill him. And Buck was clawing him. You know, when I found Buck, his talons were covered in blood, and it wasn't his blood. You know, he barely had any blood on him, so he was fighting that fox really hard. And when I found him, he was panting and out of breath. Oh, that's a hawk. Oh, it's right there. It is a hawk, Buck. Stay over here. See, in the fall, there's a lot of animals out here right now that they have to deal with, but Buck had all the feathers in his rear quarters pulled out, and he had a bite on his tail. And I put alcohol on it, which he didn't like. But then I gave him some amoxicillin for a couple of days in his water, and he has been getting better. And his neck had really bad bruising, but there were no punctures on his neck. So, you know, I think he tried killing him a bunch of times, but Buck's feathers were so thick and his neck was so strong he couldn't kill him. And the bruising completely is gone on his neck now, so Buck is completely back to normal, and he's been eating, and he even cock-a-doodle-dooed for the first time yesterday a couple times, because he hasn't made any noise pretty much at all since the fight. And Fluffy, about an hour of me calling, I finally gave up on looking for Fluffy that day, and then she just walked out of the woods over here, like all quiet, like an hour or so after everything. And she's been with Buck. She took really good care of Buck. The first couple days, Buck couldn't even move really. You know, he was so stiff from fighting for so long. He was sore, his legs were sore, he couldn't jump up on the stick. And Fluffy hung out on the ground in the coop with him all night, and Fluffy's been really good at like taking good care of him. But Buck's been eating really normally for 3 days now, and he's pretty much better. He has like 2 big scars on the back of his tail where it looks like he got bit right on the nub where his tail is. But his tail feathers have started to grow back. And when And the following day after everything, when Fluffy saw that Buck had lost all his feathers, she thought that he was molting. So she started pulling all her own feathers out, and then she triggered a molt. So now Fluffy is molting, and then Buck started molting. So now he's molting too, which is poor Buck. He already had so much going on, and now he's molting too. But now he's feeling better, and he's growing his feathers back. And there's feathers on his neck growing back. All the bruising's gone on his neck. And, you know, he had a wound on the back that probably should have had stitches, but it's closed up now and it's not infected because he took some antibiotics for a couple days. And he's doing pretty good. And he actually was like ready to fight. We had a fisher cat come in the yard yesterday, and Buck went right out in the yard and was ready to fight it again. He's such a brute. But I think he's going to survive now. But the two of them now have to face winter with just the two of them in the coop, which is going to be cold. You know, there really should be 3 or 4 birds in there. Try to keep each other warm. So I'm looking for somebody who might get rid of some birds. Maybe I can put some more birds in there with them. I would maybe give them to my neighbors, but his chickens have been in the coop the whole time, and Buck would definitely not be able to handle that. And I don't think Fluffy, Fluffy, even if she was with a bunch of other hens, I think she'd be pretty depressed if she was stuck in the coop. She's been out her whole life. Buck, look at his butt. Poor little Buck. He keeps it covered. Like, his wings don't usually sit that high, you know? He's actually holding his wings up to cover his butt because he's like, feels bad or it's cold or something. Poor little guy. But he poops fine, everything's fine, and he's growing feathers back in all those places on his butt, so, except for right where the one scar is. So he's gonna have a little scar on his butt. It's gross, but he's a badass chicken. He's a badass rooster. He definitely fought that thing for at least 30 minutes. And, I never thought, as soon as I walked down the trail that they were fighting on by the apple tree, the fox heard me and looked up, and as soon as he looked up, Buck screamed out, and I said, "Hey, Buck!" And then the fox jumped off of him, and then Buck ran straight to me. So he, as soon as he heard me, he just couldn't say anything because this thing was holding his neck and trying to kill him. But Buck's so badass, he just lived through it. And his talons were covered in blood, so he was getting the fox really good. He has huge spurs that he keeps sharpened. So he was covered in fox blood. So he definitely fought it really good. And Fluffy just escaped, made her great escape. So that's how they lived. But yeah, it was pretty rough. It's rough out here. Free range chickens out in the woods up here. It's, all summer they didn't have a problem, but now in the fall, all these animals are desperate and looking for food before winter comes. So they're going for it. And I saw a fisher cat yesterday, and that thing was huge. That was as big as the fox, but built more like a badger. So I'm sure that thing would kill Buck pretty quick. And we also have a bobcat that's living out here right now that I've been seeing on the game cams. So yeah, chickens in the woods, not easy always. But these chickens love being free. So, it's hard. Buck, I tried locking him in the coop today, and he can barely fly on his wings right now, but he still jumps over and flies out of the coop because he just does not want to be in there during the day. He's a wild chicken. I'm Bucky boy. He's totally not aggressive to me now. He's still aggressive to all the neighbors and anybody who comes over, but I can walk up and pet him now. He, I guess he realizes that I saved him, and he's totally not aggressive to me anymore at all, which is nice because he was a pain in the ass, kind of. And Fluffy's always been a good girl. What are you looking for, Fluff? I don't think there's much in the gravel. I guess she's finding something, but I don't know what. Half the time I don't know what they're eating. Just eating gravel, probably. That's the good rocks. Yummy. You can see her head spotted and stuff because she's molting. She's pulled out a lot of her feathers. Well, yeah. Well, that's another end to another grim chicken video. Thanks for watching. Subscribe.